Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
Listen, the Blue Jays are staring down a decision that could define their next 3 seasons, and nobody's talking about the most logical move sitting right in front of them. While everyone's obsessing over whether Bo Bichette gets extended or which big-name free agent Toronto overpays for, there's a trade scenario gaining traction in front office circles that actually makes sense when you strip away the emotion and look at pure roster construction. I'm talking about a deal that maintains offensive output, adds a dimension this lineup desperately lacks, and doesn't mortgage the future in the process. No theatrics, no hot takes, just cold analysis of what actually works in today's market. The Blue Jays just watched their window get narrower. That's not panic, that's reality. Teams at this stage don't rebuild, they recalibrate. They identify exactly where the gap exists between good and elite. Then they fill it without creating 3 new problems. That's the discipline that separates organizations that sustain success from ones that flame out after one playoff appearance. Every move matters now because the margin for error has evaporated. You can't afford to chase narratives or make decisions based on sentiment. You need surgical precision in how you allocate resources, manage payroll, and maintain roster flexibility. Toronto's front office understands this, which is why the conversation around Bichette isn't about replacement, it's about optimization. Here's what's actually being discussed: a 3-way value exchange with Philadelphia that sends Trea Turner to Toronto in return for Jose Barrios and Addison Barger. Before you dismiss this as fantasy baseball, understand what this trade actually accomplishes from a structural standpoint. It's not about swapping shortstops, it's about reallocating assets where each team has excess capacity and filling legitimate needs without disrupting competitive timelines. Philadelphia gets rotation stability and positional depth. Toronto gets offensive continuity plus an element they completely lack. Neither team sacrifices their present to gamble on the future. That's intelligent roster management, not desperation. The numbers tell you everything you need to know about why this isn't a downgrade. In 2025, Bichette and Turner posted virtually identical offensive production. Bichette collected 181 hits, Turner 179, home runs 18 versus 15, on-base percentage separated by 2 points. We're talking about maintaining the same level of output, not accepting less. If you're worried about losing production, the data doesn't support that concern. What you're actually doing is keeping the offensive engine running at the same RPM while adding a component that changes how defenses have to play you. That's not a lateral move. That's an upgrade in functionality. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Turner doesn't just match Bichette statistically. He brings something Toronto's lineup hasn't had in years: legitimate speed that alters game situations. 36 stolen bases in 2025, 8th in all of baseball. Over his career, he's topped 30 steals 7 times. He's consistently among league leaders in triples. For a lineup built on contact and power, but lacking dynamic base running, adding someone who turns singles into doubles and forces pitchers into uncomfortable decisions fundamentally changes offensive sequencing. You're not just getting another bat, you're getting a catalyst that makes everyone around him more dangerous. That's multiplicative value, not additive. The context matters too. Turner playing in Toronto's lineup sees better opportunities than he got in Philadelphia. More protection, more runners on base, more high-leverage situations. His counting stats naturally rise without him becoming a different player. The environment amplifies what he already does well. Meanwhile, you're looking at a player whose skill set ages differently than pure power hitters. Speed declines, yes, but Turner's game is built on bat-to-ball skills and baseball IQ, not just raw athleticism. He's not going to fall off a cliff at 32. The risk is manageable. The upside is immediate. From Philadelphia's perspective, this makes perfect sense. Barrios just completed his 5th straight season with at least 30 starts. In an era where rotation depth is the scarcest resource in baseball, that availability has real value. He's not an ace, but he's a reliable middle-of-the-rotation arm who eats innings and keeps your bullpen fresh. For a Phillies team facing uncertainty at the top of their rotation and questions about workload management, Barrios provides exactly what they need: stability, predictability, someone who takes the ball every fifth day without excuse. That's not flashy, but it's foundational. Addison Barger is the optionality piece. 21 home runs, 32 doubles, positional versatility across the infield and outfield. He's not a finished product, but he's the type of player contending teams develop into useful depth pieces. Philadelphia gets a player with upside who doesn't require immediate roster space, but could contribute in 12 to 18 months. For Toronto, the calculation is different. They're not blocking premium prospects, not burning draft capital, not closing doors on future acquisitions. Turner's contract is long, but it functions as a bridge between now and the next wave of talent. He organizes the timeline instead of complicating it. Let's address the obvious concerns because every trade has downside risk. Turner's contract is substantial. Age works against everyone eventually. Speed, his primary differentiator, historically declines faster than other tools. If that element fades, you're left with a good but not great hitter making significant money. Moving Barrios also thins rotation depth, even with recent additions. There's no such thing as a cost-free decision at this level of roster construction. But here's the key distinction. The risk is quantifiable, contained, and aligned with a broader organizational strategy. The upside keeps you in championship contention while adding a dimension you don't currently possess. That's asymmetric risk, and that's how smart organizations operate. This isn't about Trea Turner. This is about how winning organizations think. The Blue Jays wouldn't be reacting to losing Bichette. They'd be anticipating multiple scenarios and positioning themselves to remain competitive regardless of which path materializes. Average teams make reactive decisions based on pressure. Elite teams build parallel pathways that preserve optionality. They don't panic when one door closes. They've already identified 3 others. That's the mindset shift Toronto needs to embrace if they're serious about sustainable success, not just one playoff run followed by years of mediocrity. So here's the real question. If you're running Toronto's front office, are you making this move? Are you prioritizing immediate impact with manageable long-term risk, or are you betting on internal development and saving assets for a future that might never arrive? Think like a general manager, not a fan with a jersey in the closet, because the difference between those two perspectives is the difference between building a contender and wasting a competitive window.